Here's a good question from Big Tio. I wonder what advice the panel has for breakups and dating others half. Afeni.
Dating's other half, yeah.
So yeah, the other half of dating, I guess, is what they're saying. So I mean, all right. So like I said, I was engaged before, so I definitely have my, have my fair share of breakups. I think that one thing that I've just come into, and I'm 25 years old, so I feel like I'm very young. I've grown up faster than a lot of other 25-year-olds have just because of my life experience, but you know, I think that breaking up is really hard because it's a very traumatic experience that people don't really talk about. People act like you're supposed to just like get under somebody. At least my generation, just get under somebody and move on. Just like that's how you get over somebody. And it's just, it's really not that. It's really sitting with those feelings, and it's really understanding, the significance of that breakup. I've never been in a relationship longer than 5 years. So I can only really imagine like what it's like to break up with somebody and, really have your lives intertwined in that way, and have like, you're spending, especially if you live with that person, you're spending all your time with the person, like your schedule is based on that person. And that is it's a very traumatic experience to get out of that and to realign your life into a new purpose with being single. So I don't know, like I just think that breakups, like when you break up with somebody, it's very, very, very important to take your time with yourself and to heal, because I feel like too much we're told that we just need to get over our feelings. We just need to like just suck it up, and like it's just you can't just move on from everything. You can't just pack it up and act like everything's okay from every single thing. I think as human beings, we are entitled and we deserve to feel our feelings. We deserve to get to know ourselves again after that relationship, because so many things, like, okay, I'm going to speak from our personal experience. Like when I was with my ex Bianca, like there were so many things I feel like about my personal self that changed from being in that relationship. So being able to sit with those changes, and some of them you're okay with because, it's like, okay, I grew the fuck up in that situation. It's like, all right, bet. And there are some things you're like, oh, like I really lost a part of myself in this relationship, and I should rediscover that joy or rediscover that part of myself, because I shut that self off. I've shut that part of myself off for this person, to make them happy. So I feel like it's kind of a balance. It's like really taking stock of the things that changed about you in that relationship that were positive. Like, I learned how to balance the checkbook better, I learned how to pay my bills on time. I learned how to be more selfless than I was before, like how it really is to care for and nurture another person outside of myself. And I feel like in relationships, you really do learn that, especially your first one, speaking from personal experience. You really learn how to like not only give a fuck about you. It's like, damn, this nigga needs to eat too. Shit, like maybe I should cook something for the both of us and not just feed myself. Like just little things like that, like really teach you how to be more conscious of like the little things in interpersonal relationships, not only in your like romantic relationships, but in platonic relationships. I feel like a lot of my relationships, like things that I learned, had been in my friendships as well. Like my best friend Gia that just passed, like I can say that I was genuinely, and I'm still genuinely in love with Gia, but like not in a weird way. Like I don't want to like have sex with her or anything, but like she just genuinely understood me, and as a person I understood her as a person. We could have those uncomfortable conversations and grow from those conversations. And understanding that love comes in all different types of ways also could be very helpful for like breakups. And I feel like even me myself, like I've had an issue with jumping from person to person and just not really taking that time for myself. And now that I'm in like a healthy relationship and like in a healthier space, I've understood like how that could have really put me in a very bad position. But I'm lucky to have like a partner that takes her time with me and like is really patient. But like being able to have time and sit with yourself and understand how you are as a single person is just really, really important. Being able to understand all the different types of love and intimacy that are exist in the world is really, really important. And with the passing of my best friend, I really realized how important it is to like nurture and feed into the intimacy of friendships, and how we can get lost in the romantic part of it and wanting to have like a wedding and all that stuff. Like all that shit is great, but how great is it to have a dinner with your girlfriend and y'all laugh the whole fucking time?
Yeah.
Like there are feelings that are just truly unmatched that I feel like we should appreciate more collectively, that don't have to do with aesthetics or anything that can be proven to other people, but this genuinely as a person what helps you grow and just learn as a human being.
Well said. Courtney and Keisha.
I mean, you got me with that. I mean, my best friend just recently passed away as well. She would be the person I would go to. But I think I valued our relationship more than, kind of any male relationship that I'd had to that point. And my boyfriend that I actually have now, he had met her separately. So it was kind of just like gave me a piece that he knew her as well. And we figured out that we both knew her. And realizing like those relationships that are so important to you, like, being bigger than just romance. Of course, like, I talk to my boyfriend every day on the phone and we just like joke around. We play trivia games and like do dumb stuff, talk about our bunnies. And like, that's one of the most important things is that building that friendship. And I didn't even have my first real boyfriend until I was like 24, 25. So I feel like I'm still pretty new with the breakups part of it, but yeah. I do feel like I guess like feel your feelings is something I'm very dramatic, I guess I think, but I think it's healthy. I think people that bottle stuff up, it just ends up coming out wrong somewhere else later. So, I maybe you might call me dramatic, but I would definitely be like lots of sad songs, drinking wine, crying everywhere, like just, but you have to be a mess a little bit and then collect yourself and figure out what is cool about you and, and have a good time with yourself too. And like, I just feel like if you're going to be single, like do that all the way. And if you're in a relationship, do that all the way. And like, don't spare either time. Like there's something to be learned of both experiences, but those friendships that you can fall back on after a breakup, like that's probably the best people to talk to so you don't do something crazy,
Gosh, I feel like I'm way on the other side of this. So I'm 41, so I feel like I've had a lot of breakups, the most breakups, all the breakups. And I feel like definitely a lot of them were my fault for sure. So like I was a shitty person sometimes. So I think a lot of, soul searching and talking to yourself and wondering, just, figuring out what it is that you did wrong, what you would do differently. I think at this point now I've spent so much time with myself that I like being by myself. So my poor boyfriend gets mad at me because I don't like I don't like talking on the phone. I just like being by myself. So, I mean, I love him. He's great. But like, I'm like, I'm by myself. I'm chilling. So don't go don't go so far that you're, that you like love being by yourself so much that you can't do anything else. But gosh, I mean, I do definitely think sad songs and all of that stuff are great for breakups. I do think you need like a time of mourning because there was a reason you were with this person, so you had some good times, so there's
what I would say, one thing I would say is sometimes though, scorched earth is also fucking fine, because I would be Keisha's phone call after some of these relationships, and I would tell her to do crazy shit, and I think you would have felt a lot better if you had done some shit to that guy's clothing and belongings. But because some people just go too far. I've definitely like thrown somebody. I was like,
fuck all they shit up if they fucking do you wrong. Fuck that shit up.
Sometimes that helps you too. Like when you like give, you like, you know what? Fuck this shit. Sometimes that helps you get through it too, because you just gotta
purge your system.
Yeah, purge it. But it depends on the relationship.
Yeah, it depends on what happened. And the ones that were not my fault, then yes, I think maybe a scorched earth. And I did try to do a scorched earth thing, but then he came right back, guys. I took this guy's stuff. I took He was cheating on me for the longest time. And I was paying all.
She put a camera in a USB drive and put the USB drive in the apartment that they share. You know what I mean? So
It was a voice recorder.
He didn't know.
And so when I would leave the house, he would work from home and I would leave the house and he was on the phone with other girls. So, and then I would come home and check the tape and he'd be like, yeah, girl, I can't wait to see you. All kinds of crazy shit.
going on trips and stuff.
He went on trips and vacations with these girls, all kinds of stuff. So I figured it out and I took all of his stuff. I packed up, we lived together. I packed up everything. I threw it all in his car. I threw all his paintings and this and that in the car. And because he was on a trip at the time. And so then you figure he would leave. But then I went to work and because I didn't want to be there to confront him because I didn't want to have like a conversation about it. There was no conversation to be had. It was just, this is over. So I was like staying at my friend's house to try to get, him to get his stuff out. And this motherfucker put everything back in the exact same place, like a psycho.
I told her she should have pissed on it or put some mustard, ketchup, something, so then he's got to clean the clothes. Because, of course, no, now he could just take them back in the apartment. You got to make people think you're crazy because sometimes you are, okay?
Burn all that motherfucking shit, period. Burn it.
Oh my God.
I didn't want to go so far.
Yeah. You want to piss me off? Guess what? Now you're mad. Okay. Here's one thing about me. Okay, I've never had the opportunity to be as fully crazy as I want to be. But the moment a motherfucker does me the wrong way, I promise y'all gonna see my motherfucker.
That's what it is.
Oh my God. To the person in the chat, I agree. It's both impressive and worrisome that I had to. It's both. I mean, I scared myself a little bit the way I tracked this guy down, but I just was talking about it so much. I needed to have proof. Like it was one of these proofs. I just needed to have proof. That was why I did it. So if you need advice, I have an Amazon list with all of the things. No, I'm just kidding.
Keisha's a private investigator there. Delilah, how do you handle breakups?
Goodness. I think for me personally, again, I'm usually when I'm done. And there was ample chances, you know what I'm saying? Lots of communication, but when I get to that point, there is nothing to be done about it. There really isn't. And I can't change that because like I'm already moving on. You know what I'm saying? I'm already to another place. I have always tried to be very independent. Like my dad and my parents raised me to not have to be dependent on people. And so that's how I grew up. And so it's tough if your stuff is in my place now, right? Because you're not welcome here anymore because I tried and we're done. And so, yeah, if that means I had to like break a lease or something, I did because like my health, my mental health and my well-being is priority. And I think every time, and for whatever reason, Lord help me, people come to me for relationship advice. And I'm like, I'm probably the worst person for you to ask because I've been divorced twice. Like all my exes live in Texas. Like I've had stalkers. I don't know why you're coming to me for your advice. And I think it's because they want somebody to tell them you're valid and you're right in how you feel. And it's okay to not feel like this is, you know what I'm saying? You don't have to be graceful. You can call him a motherfucker. You can call him whatever you need to. You can tell his mom to come pick up his shit. I'm gonna support you because like I think that you need to do what's best for you. So every time anybody does come to me for advice and they're like, should I dump him? I'm like, first of all, yes. Second of all, use this as an opportunity for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like this is a blessing. Like you're tied down as a person working around your schedule and you're not happy. This is your chance to be happy. Go figure out what makes you happy. And that's how I try to deal with breakups and deal with people who are going through breakups. And I can tell you romantic breakups are not nearly as bad as friendship breakups. I've had those happen, and those are the ones where I'd be like crying on the couch, you know what I'm saying, for a few days, like looking through old pictures and stuff, like deleting them. And that's hard because, you know, friendship's different. Like there really was never that physical aspect to it. And so it's like it's all emotional. It's all, and so that's been, I think, a little bit harder for me to overcome, is those friendship breakups versus the relationship, romantic ones.
No, I agree. I know, like, when I broke up with my ex, I took a year off from dating just to like physically heal and just like focus on myself. And then I
Yeah.
met my husband, and it was kind of weird because I wasn't looking for a boyfriend. I wasn't looking to try to date anybody. But at the same time, it was like I got so used to being like depending on myself and doing everything on my own. And then I met this guy who's like opening the door for me, like trying to help me with things. I remember the first time he tried to help me like carry something, I was like, "What are you doing? Like, give that back! Like, give that back to me." So it was just funny. I was used to being like independent, so that was something that I did have to work on. I had to realize that it's okay to let somebody help you, and so it took me a while to get to that point.